Published in 40 countries, his best-selling memoirs have made for a blockbuster movie.
My name is Jordan Belfort. At the tender age of 22, I headed to the only place that befit my high-minded ambitions.
22 million in 3 hours!
The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely not.
With his properties sold to compensate investors, Belfort now lives in relative modesty in California. He's served 22 months jail time and been ordered to pay defrauded clients $110 million. 50 cents in every dollar he makes goes to payback.
You're a natural entrepreneur, but where did it all begin? Like, at what age did you know you were so good at business?
Well, I was pretty much a born entrepreneur. I had a paper out at the age of 8. I shoveled driveways after snowstorms at 10. But my first real hit, when I got the taste of making serious money, was at 16. And I was on the beach, and I noticed there was, lots of people there. They were thirsty. It was really hot, and the concession stand was a half a mile away, a very, very far walk. And I came up with this idea to take a cooler full of Italian ices, and scoop ices, and chipwiches and fudgicles, and just walk down the beach. Next day, I went back, and I made $100 my first day, which back in 1970, I think 77 it was, 78. It's a lot of money for a kid, $100 in one day. The next day I went back with 4 cools, made $400, and I started making big money. So I was making about $20,000 during the summer when I was in my teens, and I put myself through school. That's really where it all started.
Didn't you start in the meatpacking industry?
When I got out of school, I had one false stop along the way in dental school, but I quickly realized that wasn't for me. I dropped out, and I answered a blind ad for sales in the meat business, and I worked for them for about 2 or 3 weeks and said, hey, why not just start my own meat business? So I did it with no experience, and I made a lot of money for a while, but I ended up actually going bankrupt.
How did you go from being bankrupt in that industry to making so much money on Wall Street?
I had heard a rumor about a friend of mine growing up that it was making supposedly $1 million a year. And I was like, wait a second, he's not that sharp. He's making $1 million a year, and he was working on Wall Street. That was the word. He had become a stockbroker. So I said to myself, if they can make that much money, then so can I. And that's really what inspired me to go down to Wall Street, knowing someone else was doing really, really well at that. And I didn't see them as having any special skills. I figured I could do better, or at least as well. At the heart of my success on Wall Street was the ability to train and motivate other people, brokers that were actually selling over the phone, and also to essentially start businesses from scratch. And I became essentially a venture capitalist, and I started all these different companies. I owned about 50 or 60 different companies by the time I was 29 years old, and some became massive. So that was really the ability I had to run businesses and also to train, motivate, and teach people how to close the deal.
He employed 1,000 stockbrokers motivated by money and the firm's decadent lifestyle. But when complaints got the attention of federal authorities, a task force closed in and the game was up.
He's got pictures of your whole inner circle. This is bad. It's okay. Rub my temple. You're all right.
You just tried to bribe a federal officer.
Investigators just followed the money.
When did it all come crashing down?
My mistake was I decided to smuggle some money to Switzerland for no apparent reason other than my own idiocy. I didn't need to do it, but when you get caught up in that lifestyle where it's almost like there's an envelope and you're just constantly pushing the envelope. And, I was, breaking the law for maybe 4 or 5 years, once every month or two. Not every day, once every month, a little bit. But then what happens, you become desensitized. So then everything starts saying, well, it's no big deal. Everything becomes no big deal. Before you know it, all those little no big deals become really big deals. And through these tiny, imperceptible steps, you end up, in not that long a period of time, doing things you never thought you'd do, associating with people you never thought you'd associate with, and it all seems perfectly okay.
How low was that lowest low of knowing that you were going to jail?
When I got sober, then I ended up getting sober in 97, and then when I got sober and I looked and saw the wreckage of the past, like when you're on drugs, you don't really, it's the guilt, the remorse, it's under the surface, and I didn't realize it, and I was like, please, God, just get me, I'm gonna stay in my house and do nothing wrong and be a choir boy. But of course, the past caught up with me as it should have, and I had to pay the price.
After divorcing his first wife, he married British model Nadine Caridi, with whom he had 2 children before they split up. He now lives with a woman he says helped put his feet back on the ground, fiancée Ann Copper, and runs a company giving training in wealth building. He's still repaying big debts, but Ann has gone into this with her eyes wide open.
How did you guys meet?
We met on a soccer field. Our sons were on the same team.
She's a soccer mom.
And I was a single mom. And I didn't know anything about Jordan. And my son's father came up to me and he said, do you know who's on our team? I said, no. He goes, Google the Wolf of Wall Street. And I Googled him and I said, oh, he's out amongst all of us?
I thought she was very pretty and she was sweet, and so I asked a mutual friend if he would introduce us, and that was how he went out for the first time. And she was nervous because, you know, I have a reputation for my book and everything, and so she really didn't have much of an intention of us really getting serious.
But he straight line sold me, and that was it. Closed the deal.
And what kind of a man is Jordan?
He's such a good businessman that you'd think he was just this very guy, but he's probably the most sensitive, sweet, loving guy. Am I wrecking it? Am I wrecking your whole thing? Do you want people to think you're tougher than you are?
Oh, I'm not tough, honey. You know.
Okay.
Not with you, at least.
He's not that tough. He's as sweet as can be.
This isn't quite the deck of his once 56-meter motor yacht, but it's home.
So this is life for you now.
Yeah, it's a pretty good life. It's a damn good life, and it's been a long road back from, you know, the insanity, but thankfully it ended well, and I'm fortunate.
What would you say your vision is for the future?
What I'm looking for, and what I have now, finally, is balance, where I have, you know, the money coming in, I have a great business, and I love teaching, I love mentoring people, I love getting up on stage and speaking. It just kind of resonates with every fiber of my soul, and I love spending time with my family. You know, I'm going to get married, as I said, and my kids are growing up real fast, so hopefully there'll be a few weddings in the next dozen years, and that's my life. You know, hopefully be happy and healthy and grow to a nice, ripe age.
Did the Wolf of Wall Street movie deserve more Oscars? Tell us what you think.